Ready Check Radio.
What's up, Internet? Welcome to Ready Check Radio's Snowbound, the Blizzard Podcast, Episode 1. Episode 1. We're here. We're off. We're running. We got an expansion coming sometime for World of Warcraft. I mean, sometime. It's at some point we'll get it. We got some Hearthstone news. We got Starcraft II news. We got Overwatch. We're going to cover it all. But I think with Episode 1... we should do a little bit of an introduction, so let's bring on my co-hosts first. We'll get you up to date on what they do in WoW, their experience levels, what they like to talk about, and all the other news they have to chat about on the Blizzard front. First, joining me, if you followed us on previous channels, you definitely know this person. Mr. Dom Greco Zista, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. How you doing today?
I'm a little sleepy.
Yeah.
I could use a nap. I could eat.
Nap,
I could
nap would
probably
be
eat.
good. I had to get my energy drink just to stay awake.
Oh, where are you? What is going on in your background there? Are you going to be okay?
I'm trying to get into the Shadowlands,
Yeah,
but
it looks
apparently I have to
like-
wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, you're like being like sucked up or something, man.
Yeah.
You hang on tight while we introduce Miss Kristen DeVita. How are you, Kat?
Hi. Good. You'll
you-
see my tag there is cat named Norris. So if I
Yeah.
get called Cat, that's why.
Yeah. So apparently you go by like 90 different names we found out as this show started. So we're gonna use Kat on this show just to keep it. But yeah, follow Kristen at Cat named Norris. You probably already follow some of these other folks, like myself and Zista. And if you don't, then follow us. But by all means, make sure you're following Ready Check Radio. Chat, we're giving you all the info now. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see all the links. If you're listening to it on Spotify, head on over to Ready Check Radio, RAIDEO.com, and you can find all of our socials there. Check out all the other shows that we have and all the streamers we have. Hope you'll join us. But before we get started with Blizzard news, Kat and Zista, I think a little introduction is in order as far as like our experience levels, where we come from, what we enjoy in games, just to kind of show like we've got a wide swath of World of Warcraft and Overwatch and Hearthstone experience, things like that. I'll go first. Those that know me know that I am absolutely the filthiest World of Warcraft casual you have ever met. Zista's already shaking his head at me. So is Kat.
It's an understatement.
Kat, seriously,
What
already
can
giving
I
me the
say?
head shakes.
I'm a
grief.
pumper. I just can't take you casual seriously.
I am absolutely a filthy WoW casual. I sub up and play like crazy for 2 months and then don't touch it for 2 months. At the beginning of expansions, there's that that usual I'm coming back to the game run of a few months where you play it hard, but then like patch X3, X4 starts to peter out, and so I'm filthy casual. I'm not Mythic 15ing anything or anything like that.
You mean when Final Fantasy has an update?
Yes, actually, that is pretty much what happens, is when I'm sick of grinding in Final Fantasy 14. We have the other show, The Relic Grind, that's on Thursdays at 7. Plug. When I'm done there, I hop into WoW. So that's me. I'm going to be representing the filthy casual, like, should you come back to Shadowlands with the launch? What is new? If you're totally, like, even more filthy casual than I am, what's changing now? You haven't played in an X-Pack or two. Should you jump in now? That's kind of the angle I'll be coming from with my personal experience. I can speak to raids and stuff like that, but I'm not going to be Mythic 15ing anything. That's where some of our other hosts come in. And let's do ladies first here, Kat. Why don't you give us a little rundown
Thank you.
of yourself and your history there?
Yeah, I've been a fan of Blizzard games for a long time. I remember going to a local computer cafe when I was in like 6th grade to play Diablo multiplayer with people, and
Damn.
a lot of Warcraft and Warcraft II around that time as well. Of course, Starcraft. Didn't play a whole lot of Warcraft 3 for whatever reason. Really stuck with Starcraft, but then World of Warcraft came along, and as someone who had played MMOs previously, like Asheron's Call, rest in peace. I was really interested in the whole MMO aspect, so I got into WoW as soon as it launched, and I was addicted. So, um, did a lot of heavy raiding and progression through Burning Crusade. Kind of took a break through Wrath and Cataclysm. Didn't really play Mists of Pandaria at all. Came
Oh,
back for
skip the
Draenor. I
pandas.
know. I I wasn't that big into the Pandaren, but like I always thought orcs were cool, so I came back for Warlords of Draenor, and wow, boy, that was kind of a thing. I started playing more seriously again toward the end of Legion and then into BFA. Have found that I no longer really have the patience for serious rating progression, like getting into that mythic grind. It hurts. It hurts when other people just like aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's very frustrating. I've done heroic level rating in BFA and that was fine, but without wanting to really like dedicate my entire life to WoW, I decided that mythic pluses were for me, and season 4 I was running those 15 pluses, but I didn't really get like super up there. I got my 15 Keystone Conqueror thing and my mount, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm done.
I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, but I appreciate a lot of different aspects of WoW. I do a lot of achievement hunting, a lot of mount hunting. I've gotten into the battle pet collections kind of late, but I'm getting into it. Transmogs, everything. I'm a big
Nice.
collector. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. We've got the collector completionist in you. Zista, that's
Yeah,
a little
little
bit
bit.
you too, as far as
it's very
collecting
much me,
quite a
yeah.
bit in the worlds of Warcrafts and in
Yeah.
Overwatch and in everything else Blizzard does.
I'm very versed in the Blizzard universe. I'd say my weakest area is Starcraft for sure.
Well, you're not going to have to worry about that much longer. We'll talk about that a little later in the show.
And I actually never played any of the Warcraft games prior to World of Warcraft. So, but I started off as well in Diablo. That was my first introduction into the Blizzard multiverse, if you will. And I actually only had the demo. It was like a 2-level dungeon demo, and I think I played that more than I actually played all of Diablo 2.
Wow. That's
But
like
eventually I
a
did get
cardinal sin in
yeah,
some
eventually
circles.
I did get the full Diablo game, and then I don't know, I really, really enjoyed the first Diablo. Moving into Diablo 2, I didn't enjoy it quite as much, but I did play World of Warcraft all the way back in the beta. I had a max level character in beta for the original Warcraft back when Scholomance or Sholomance, however you pronounce it, depending on your area, used to be a 40-man raid. That's how far back I remember. So
See, I didn't join until it was my brother and I. We started playing around Burning Crusade, like late Burning Crusade, just before Lich King, came out. Because I do remember hitting with him level cap of 70. It was 70, right, in Burning Crusade, and before the expansion. So that's right when him and I started playing. I was a Final Fantasy 11 guy before that, and then coming to World of Warcraft. I tried like 2 different times, and I was like, this is so easy. What the hell are you people? Everything's got an exclamation point above it. Because Final Fantasy 11, totally different beast. But so yeah, that was my joining. So we kind of run the gamut of experience levels here, even though Zista likes to bust my chops and make me tank things that I'm in no gear shape to tank. And he's like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. We got you.
Well, if you have a good healer, you can get carried through a lot.
That is true.
It doesn't matter. I'm just, whether they're good or bad anyway, I'm just going to blame them. I only died because you did that, healer. No, I'm just kidding. I seriously will blame them. But let's get started with some of the more recent news. We'll be playing a little bit of catch up here, but it's stuff that I felt we should cover in the first episode here. Obviously, for the last few weeks, we've seen a number of content creators pull their videos up, put the talk about it on Twitch and all that fun stuff. But I figured we'd touch base on this since it's probably worth touching base on in episode 1. Oh my God, I bumped the wrong button.
What a failure.
I am. There's Stream Deck. I blame the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck screwed it up. Um, let's start with the actual expansion being delayed, right? Originally, it was 1 week from today. We should be less than a week, less than 7 days away from expansion launch. Shadowlands a few weeks ago does get delayed for all intents and purposes indefinitely. Now, we don't expect it to be a huge delay, at least from some things we've heard said. But first, let's chat, Zista. Was the delay a good thing? Did you play in original beta testing for this at all? Did you have some thoughts in your
I actually haven't
travels
spent
on a
very
delay?
much time. Yeah, I haven't spent very much time in the beta at all. I kind of went in and did character customization because I found when I extensively play any of the betas and like go through all the content, by the time it goes live, I'm already sick and bored of
Yeah,
it.
you don't
So
want to do it.
I don't like the expansion burnout, so I try to avoid actually playing them as much as possible. But I do like to jump on from time to time and test like a few select things. Like Torghast, I've not even touched it one time. Like I know everybody's like jumping in there. That's the one thing they want to try, and I'm like, I'd rather do that on live and like have all the fun with it then. So, but I definitely think the delay was a good thing. Anything that needs anything that gets recognized that it needs polish and they have the opportunity to take the time and polish it, I think anybody that has that ability, whether it be a game, a movie, anything, like should take that time because you don't want to release it early and have it not meet up to your standards and then have everybody be disappointed and flop with it. So like if you got the time, absolutely do it.
And Kat, of particular note here was the maw, right? Having problems with getting around the maw, navigating, players wanting to be immediately be able to mount up in the maw and things like that. So maybe a little rework going. But here's the question: like, if they're just taking a look at performance issues, stabilization issues, optimization issues, things like that, I don't think this delay necessarily addresses maybe gameplay mechanics, trait changes, all that type of stuff. I don't think the delay has anything to do with any complaints that the community may have been making on those fronts. I got to believe that a short delay probably doesn't mean anything's getting overhauled. It's more technical in nature, right?
I mean, I have to imagine that's the case. Without any insider knowledge, I have no idea what they're actually doing. I would like to hope that with the amount of feedback they've gotten on the beta, that they're addressing some of those more unpopular features, such as certain limitations with regard to class and spec optimization.
And we've already seen them do a little bit of that with Covenant abilities, right?
Yeah, a little bit, but not to the extent that I think is resonating really well with the player base. There's been a lot of disgruntled commentary about the upcoming system. So, of course, Azurite was not very popular either when it started, and people kind of adjusted to it and adapted to it. And I'm sure we'll see similar adaptations as the game launches and as we go forward. But like you said, I don't think they're going to be doing anything major. Some more tweaks would be nice to see, though.
All right, so the big question then, Zista, when do you think we see this? So first off, let's keep this. Let's start ballparking things, right? Let's start narrowing things down a little bit. Let's go with both of you first, and I'll chime in to, does it come out in 2020? Let's take a nice little easy ballpark. I think this is an easy question to answer, but we'll put it out there. Does it come 100%. Out in 2020?
100% for the simple fact that I think it was the Blizzard store had a thing in the collector's edition purchase. It said all shipments will be there by December 31st of 2020. So like, even though they've sent the physical copies out, I think they put that date in there regardless, knowing like,
I mean, a lot of people already have their collector's sets too, right? I mean, those were shipped as normal.
Omi got hers from the Blizzard store, and she just got hers today, I believe, in chat. So she was saying earlier.
Kat, 2020 or early 2021?
I think that Blizzard is kind of in the unfortunate situation now of running up against the new console generation releases.
True.
And other competing releases that anything before the holidays is not going to be very. It's not going to result in the numbers that they want, I think. So I'm also going to go with early 2021, like some people in chat are saying.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tarkoth, Kiggles, a lot of them go in 2021 early.
yeah, I mean, I would love to see this out before the end of 2020, especially since pre-patch has already come out. And I want to see those pre-patch quests and get through that content and see this new Scourge invasion and be part of that. But that event specifically is timed to line up with the release of the actual expansion. So it's going to be a while for new content. And that makes me sad because I just resubscribed for all this new content and I've not seen it yet.
I think you are barking up the same tree as I am, Kat, here. And Zista, far be it for me to disagree on with you on anything Blizz related, but I kind of lean more towards a very early 2021 now. And it's, yeah, the console releases themselves in early November certainly is not a window you really want to try and cram anything into. But just looking at basically like November 1st through like the second week of December, and all the different releases, whether they're for the next gen consoles or for existing consoles or PC. I mean, you have Cyberpunk, you have Assassin's Creed. I mean, the list just goes on and on as a window you really don't want to be a part of. And I understand that Blizzard can really make their own window, right? And piss off other companies. They're big. It's World of Warcraft. Exactly. They've done it in the past. They can just say, you know what? But World of Warcraft, like it or not, is not where it was 5 years ago. It does not have that, while it still has a ton of strength, obviously, behind it, it does not have that, hey, we got 12 million people that want to buy a box. We're going to go whenever the hell we feel like it. And I think maybe there is a little consideration of the holiday window, the new console launches, the launch lineup. So I kind of agree that this is maybe a 2021, like a January 2021 thing.
I think at the
still disagree
earliest, at the absolute earliest, I could see maybe like it launching on Thanksgiving weekend, but
maybe
like,
maybe
the
that, or
Tuesday
maybe
of Thanksgiving. But I don't.
Maybe the first week of December.
Yeah, I don't like even that. That's being very optimistic.
It feels optimistic.
I think that is at the earliest possibility we would get it.
All right, so Kat and I, early 2021. Zista, we'll put you down for early December, and we'll give you credit for Thanksgiving weekend if it comes a little early.
Are we going to put like a bet on this? Like,
oh, we will revisit this. This is absolutely the type of shit we revisit on future shows.
So if it falls
I'm saying I'm willing.
Week, I'm gonna mail Burn a pink hat. He's got to wear it for one of the podcasts.
That is fine.
I was just gonna offer to buy someone a store mount or something, but whatever. That's pink hats are good
too.
Oh
no, store mounts. No. We go straight for the embarrassment factor here. Now, Kat, you did mention pre-patch, so let's kind of back up there and talk about that, because that is already in the game. Obviously, we don't have the pre-expansion Scourge invasion yet. It's kind of like it just says shortly, so we're kind of just like waiting any Tuesday. Refresh? Nope. Okay. It wasn't there. And kind of going back and forth. But everybody's had a little bit, about a week of pre-patch, exactly a week of pre-patch hands-on now. So I want to just kind of touch on some of the bigger items in the pre-patch that are pretty big changes, even if you are totally new to World of Warcraft, and this is the first time you've ever even considered playing it. So let's start with, I think, where that type of player may start, and where people that love alts is going to start, at character creation. We got a whole bunch of new options, new tools, new looks, new skin colors, hairstyles, all kinds of different functionality in there. Have you rolled around a few new characters? What did you like? What did you not like, Zista?
I think there's still a lot of room for improvement for like things like hair color. Like, why can't you just give us a color wheel?
Yeah.
Like, is that too much to ask? Like, let us pick our own color instead of all these presets.
Yeah, I think there's 12 presets. Pick one. Like, we make fun of doing a first look video games on MMO Bomb for free to play MMOs and stuff like that. I literally poke fun at preset faces and preset hair colors and no other options. So it is weird to be logging into WoW in 2020 and still seeing those types of things there, Kat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder just how much of that is baked into the backbone of the system, though.
Yeah.
The foundation of that system has existed for a very long time now, 15 years, older than that even, and uh, who knows how difficult it would be to actually implement that kind of flexibility. I do love what they've implemented. I've had so much fun
Yeah.
this week playing dress up with my characters and reworking all of their appearances and seeing all the new options. So it's been fun. It's like a breath of fresh air
They
when
look
it comes to
great.
character
I mean, you got to give them
creation.
that.
Yeah.
They do look great.
Well, I absolutely love like the when you click on a character in a class, like you see the stance of like, a warrior or a rogue or a warlock
Oh
and the
yeah,
mage, like the little animations that they show, like when you pick them, just they look incredible. And they
the
make me
action
want to play
poses and
classes I
stuff.
had no interest in before.
Yeah.
So
I think it's just like we always want more options.
Yeah.
Just always want more options. I do think it's still weird though, and like a friend of ours that we know from way back when was chatting about ethnic representation maybe still not being where it should be in the game. And while I'm in no position to speak to that aspect of things, I do find it odd that we still just can't get black hair, just straight black hair. It's always like this off-shade gray. I don't get why we can't just have black hair yet.
I feel again like that might be some sort of graphical thing where they don't want to lose the detail in the design. Like if you go with a true black, you lose a lot. It doesn't always look very good. Even in games like 14 where you have like a more traditional black haircut, there's a lot of highlighting, there's a lot of like animation and quality to it, and to make it seem more dynamic and realistic. But WoW just doesn't have that same functionality. So again, they have to kind of tiptoe around what they can do.
Zach in chat, that engine has to be taped together with used duct tape by now. There's probably a little bit of truth to that. A little bit of truth.
Well, because for the longest time they couldn't even upgrade our backpack size because it was tied into the old coding.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's reaching back, but yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
So I created a druid as far as brand new characters. Like I did play dress up with existing characters. I created a new druid. Started that at level 1 and created a mage and started that at level 1, just screwing around with that because the druids have the additional functionality, right, of the morphs being able to be customized to a certain extent. And that includes going into new tutorial stuff since I didn't boost them in any way. Obviously, you could start in your starter zone if you want, but I think everybody's jumping into Exile's Reach to get a look at that. I got to say, if you are totally new to the game, welcome. If you have not played in years and years and years, Exile's Reach, I think, is something the game needed years ago. It is very well done. Maybe a little too well done, Zista, on how often you get told things like, "Hey, you got a new piece of gear, put it on."
I got a couple little complaints about.
You got another little new piece of gear. Let's put it on. It's not perfect. I have some gripes too. We'll go with you first, Kat, but I think it is pretty solid. I like the aspect of you kind of cover everything. Doesn't get into necessarily crafting, but you kind of cover everything. You even get a taste of a little dungeon at the end, albeit an extremely easy dungeon for a couple level 9 or 10, new players to go do. I gotta say, I give it a thumbs up. I have gripes, but Kat, we'll start with you and your gripes because you sound a little vocal about them.
I think, like you said, it's a fantastic introduction to the game. But that's exactly all it is. It's an introduction. It holds your hand.
Oh,
through the whole
100%.
thing.
Yeah.
And that's great if you're a new player, but if you're just there to experience this new thing, this is like your 5th, 6th, 7th character, whatever, or 50th in some people's cases, they need to have an option, first of all, to skip or hide a lot of those tooltips and tutorial elements.
Well, I think to be fair though, don't they look at it like we do that? we give you the option to go to your race's starting zone, which has been a bit streamlined. I mean, you're only going to be there for
Right.
15, 20 minutes. If you know what you're doing and you're just buzzing
Well-
another character up, you're there for 15 minutes and you're out, whichever zone you pick. So I think,
There is
do you think,
actually
go ahead,
there's a
Zista.
way to do it. If you go into like your settings, there's a way to like
Mhm.
skip the like hide the tooltips, and like as soon as I did that, my mini map showed up, like all this stuff. So there is a way to do it, but it's not
Okay, I didn't poke
easy
around
to
enough. Then.
find.
My apologies. Yeah.
It's like they needed to do a better job communicating that for existing players. Like like I understand why it's hidden for brand new players, but for
Yeah.
anybody who has like a max level character, they should tell you in one of the tutorials that you can do this. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fine. That's like a very simple thing that they can add,
Yeah.
and I would be
Yeah.
like totally happy with it.
Here's the flip side of this, Kat. How many brand new players is WoW realistically getting anymore? I mean, granted, you have people that are, you know,
I don't
were 8
know.
and now they're 14. And so
I'm
maybe they're picking it up,
sure-
but
I'm sure there are some people out there. I'm sure there's a website somewhere that has that kind of information gathered and posted, but I can't imagine it's a very large population of people anymore. I don't even know if like I remember World of Warcraft doing some pretty heavy advertising on television for some of its past expansions. I don't know if they're even doing that anymore. I mostly listen to like podcasts and Spotify these days, and that has a lot of advertisements built into it too. But even then, I haven't heard anything about Shadowlands. I don't know how much they're trying to market and communicate to new players.
yeah, it may be Zista that it's just like, hey, we know who our audience is now. If we
Yeah.
get new ones, we get new ones. But what we're really banking on is the Mike Burns who haven't played in 6 months, you know,
Yeah.
Go back.
giving us
Yeah.
$15 for the next 3 or 4 months and capturing his attention for a little bit. You know,
I will tell you,
that's
there's
and they don't need a commercial to do that for me.
yeah, there's about a week there where I completely forget how to play my character whenever I come back after a few months. So
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Maybe that's what I need. I don't need an Exile's Reach for new players. I need an Exile's Reach for idiots.
So let me ask this then. I would probably I enjoyed Exile's Reach, and now knowing Zista that I can shut off those little tooltips and such when I want to. I left them on this time because I wanted the new player experience to be able to chat about it on the show here. But I enjoyed it. Like there's even a class specific quest hidden in there. Well, it's not really hidden, but it's off the path a little bit. So each class you take in there has one class ability specific quest. I thought that was a neat little touch. The dungeon at the end, I like, you know, dungeons is my gameplay, whether it's Final Fantasy 14, whether it's World of Warcraft, whether it's some other MMO. I love 5-person dungeons. I really like when there's the ability to do solo and duo dungeons and stuff like that. So this was a neat way to end it for me. I would probably just keep doing Exile's Reach. I don't know if I would ever return to starter zones, as much as that may screw up my initial flight planning when getting flight paths on new characters. But I would probably do that zone every single time. I don't think I'd go back.
Ah, sounds like someone needs to pick up a couple items for their toy box.
Just a few.
There's a couple of items that fill in the major flight points for you
Yeah,
on
I know.
Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms.
Filthy
and-
casual. I don't know if you heard me at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, I
Um,
enjoy Exile's Reach quite a bit, but there's something about the starting zones that they're nostalgic, I guess, that I missed in Exile's Reach. Like I leveled Undead Warlock to
how
go
am I
through there.
really
And
gonna
it just I miss Death
appreciate?
Knell very much.
How am I really going to appreciate the nuanced humor of "You No Take Candle" if I don't go back to Northway Monastery or whatever it's called?
hmm
All right, so the big decision, though, once you hit level 10, you play an expansion. You run it from 10 to 50. You can only pick one, Zista. It's got to be the one you play forever. Now, any
Forever.
characters you create, they have to go through this expansion. Which one do you pick to level your characters?
I'm going with the unpopular opinion, Mists of Pandaria.
Really?
Why is
I
that
really-
unpopular?
Really enjoyed Mists of Pandaria. The aesthetics were just very, very eye-pleasing to me. I loved all the art, the music, everything. I thought was absolutely fantastic. It felt very different from everything else. I know it got a lot of flack because pandas, But pandas aside, the art style, the music, everything is just very well done. I think it's the first time that they really hit a stride in telling a story
Hmm.
through the expansion. Like they did that a little bit in Wrath, but it's just like it felt a little jarring. Like Lich King was in your face too much through everything. Like I couldn't enjoy it. But
Yeah.
like Miss of Pandaria, I think that's the first time they got storytelling right. And I think if they didn't spoil Garrosh like being the big bad during BlizzCon, like I think Chris Metzen was the one that spilled the beans. If they didn't do that and they let the story unfold naturally, I think it would have taken so many people by surprise and would have made for a much better story. It was just kind of a bad circumstance of the way everything fell all at once, but that's still one of my favorite expansions.
Blizzard loves its fallen hero storylines.
They do.
Kat, I can't see you going with Pandaria considering you skipped the expansion. You probably have a different choice here.
I mean, I went back and did a whole lot of it to contribute toward my 100 Exalted Reputations achievement. So I really appreciate, you can see that a lot of love went into that expansion. I think if I was going to go back and level through one with Chromie time, though, it would either be Legion or it would be Warlords. And oh, excuse my cat again.
Hi, Norris.
uh,
Norris makes a guest spot.
he needs to be in like the credits as a little nut because he's gonna keep showing up. He's very nosy. But yeah, I missed. I didn't do a whole lot in Draenor when I came back for it. I did like the basic plotline and stuff, but I didn't really see it through. So I would kind of like to go back to that and see it a little bit more. I've done Burning Crusade so many times. I wouldn't do that. I played Classic whenever Classic released last year. I don't need to go back and do that. So, but Wrath is also a favorite. I don't know. Wrath was so good. I don't care about Cataclysm.
So I took the Druid into Burning Crusade, and I took the Mage into Wrath of the Lich King. So those are my two. Burning Crusade, I think, has a lot of nostalgia for, like, that's when my brother and I first started playing type deal for me. So there's that nostalgia. I spawned right under a Fel Reaver, and I was like, oh, shit, that's what that's like. You know, I forgot what that was like, getting just stepped on immediately. But Wrath...
There was nothing more satisfying, though, than out-leveling it and going back and killing it.
Exactly. So, but I think for storytelling purposes, I like the Wrath of the Lich King storyline with Arthas and everything better. So I think if I had to play just one, it would be that one. Where I'm kind of concerned with this, though, is like, do you really get the feel of the complete storyline in these? Like, yeah, you go and you play that zone, you know you're going to be 50 when you're done with that expansion, but like you still got to go kill the Lich King, like in a raid, right?
Yeah.
So,
and you're not going to be able to solo it at 40. I tried.
So I kind of like, it feels disjointed at the end for me at the leveling experience where you've like been playing this whole story, and then there's other stuff, but you're already 50, so go enjoy Shadowlands. It just feels a little disjointed at the end for my taste. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it feels better than it did previously.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
like you had Cataclysm with like, you know, that going on with the War Chief, and then like you would jump to another expansion partway through, and then you go to like BFA, and you're like end up time traveling like 3 times during it.
Yeah.
If you stopped by like Northrend at any point, you're like now back in time again. It was really weird. So I think streamlining it to one expansion to do. I know you could still jump around if you want to.
If you want
but
to.
in terms of like storyline, like you're using Chromie time, so it makes way more sense from a lore standpoint now if you're jumping around time to do it.
And there are little odd idiosyncrasies in the whole process to begin. Like when you go to Burning Crusade, the quest to get the Netherguard Bitter, originally you just went back through the portal, went up to Netherguard Keep, bought it, came back through the portal, but you can't go through the portal that way. When you initially get there. But if you go to Stormwind, then come on down to Netherguard, and then, oh shit, I got to talk to what's-her-face right outside to change the time that Netherguard is actually, so it's actually the keep. Now I can go buy the bitter and go through the dark portal back. So there's some like weird little things like that happen in the stories, but It's
Yeah.
definitely better. I just don't think it's perfect yet. Particularly if the intent is, hey, if we have newer players or returning players, pick an expansion, play the whole storyline, and not have to assume that, okay, they'll do the raid and kill Arthas at some other point to really cap off the story experience. It just kind of feels like, whoop, float. Now what do you want to do? Are you done? And the forced leaving, right? at the
Yeah.
end. That's really
was a misstep.
goofy.
I'm glad
But,
they addressed that.
Yeah.
My biggest gripe with it is if you don't know to go to the board and like go with Chromie time,
Yeah.
like if you just go through, it default puts you in Battle for
In
Azeroth. which
BFA.
It's the current content, so I understand why they're pushing you in that direction, but
Yeah, it just
it's
sends
still
you
like
with
a more
Jaina.
clear option to like inform you. Because if you're a brand new player, you don't know that you can go back and do all these. You're just going right to BFA. So I feel like there's a misstep there for
Yeah,
sure.
you immediately hit Stormwind or whatever. But I was Alliance, so you hit Stormwind, and then are sent off with Jaina to, start the BFA storyline. In the patch here and in the future here, we'll be getting new class abilities. Not really new, returning class abilities. There's a list. Check it out on Wowhead. We're not going to go through every single one here. I just wanted to get as more experienced players than I dabble, months and then break. So to me, none of this really, matters. But are there some abilities here that you're like very happy to see back, Kat? Like even if they were more offshoot, just fun to use occasional abilities than core rotation abilities?
Let me think about that for a moment. Let me hand this over to Zista because I actually no, Intervene being back is awesome to me. I loved Intervene as a protection warrior. I thought it was so much fun.
Zista?
Well, I will say that me now, who since Legion has transitioned over to a demon hunter, that I'm so happy to get all my missing abilities back from Vanilla. No, but I don't know. Like I like the little thing like Eyes of the Beast and stuff coming back, like stuff that doesn't have a lot of like raid utility or like just little fun things like that. And I think my other favorite one is the Infernals coming back, or not the Infernals, the Dreadlords. Is that what they were? The summoning ritual that kills somebody when it summons for the Warlock.
I think that was Dreadlord.
Dreadlord, yeah.
Which
Rob,
is very funny. I can't wait to see more people just dying in town.
Rob in chat, very happy that Pally's got Hammer of Wrath back. You selfish Pally bastard.
Paladin.
We had mentioned the expansion, the Scourge Invasion quest line. Now, we just know that that's sometime. So, Zista, if you're putting this at end of November, early December, I'd imagine you're seeing the Scourge Invasion primer quest line 2 to 3 weeks ahead of that, like mid-November?
Yeah, well, I think it's timed. I think it's like the pre-launch, if I'm not mistaken, is set to go live 3 weeks before the launch of the expansion. So when that goes live,
weeks,
is 2 to 3 weeks. So
once we get a date, we can tell you when it'll happen.
So if we go, Kat, with our early 2021, this could be like a little Christmas present then.
I guess, yeah.
Kind of a bad launch window,
I'm so excited for it. I just really liked the Scourge event in Wrath, and I really want to see.
Isn't this like the second time we're getting it, though?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like before Wrath,
no, this is even the third, because the Wrath one was also the same event that we got when Naxxramas launched in Vanilla WoW. It's the exact same event. So this is technically the third time we're getting the same event.
Oh, was the next one involving players though? I don't remember.
Did
players get to be the Scourge, because I thought it was just Scourge attacking. I know pre-Wrath players could be the Scourge, and then in this one as well, players are going to be able to be the Scourge.
Yeah, I don't remember players turning, but I remember like going to designated areas that the Scourge was invading, and so
Scourge Invasion 3.0.
Yeah, 3.0, Kara.
I think like in terms of cosmetic stuff, like new things that we get, I think we only get a pet. I think it's like a thing. So I'm a mount collector. I was hoping for a mount like we got last expansion in the pre-launch event, but
always pets and minions, always me.
Yeah,
I don't care what you like, Zista.
Oh, okay.
I'm a minion farmer, so I'm okay with this. What the hell did you put in the show notes here for? What you want to talk about the sprite darter, Zista?
I mean, it just
transmog.
came out today.
It did.
Like,
It
Super
did.
cute. I don't know if I'm gonna sub for. I mean, I'll probably end up subbing for 6 months at some point, but I'm not ready to commit to a 6-month subscription until I see that Shadowlands release date. Then I will feel good about
Then
getting
maybe.
my Sprite Darter transmog.
Then
yeah.
maybe. How about just buy it for $20? That just feels dirty. Is that what it is?
I don't
Kinda.
like to buy a whole lot from the store unless it really interests me.
What is
I'm a
that? It says-
sucker. Like, I'll buy mounts from the
Right.
store because I'm a total sucker for mounts. But the fact that it's like a transmog, I don't know. I don't know. I'd rather get it as like a side benefit for subscribing.
I know a lot of people were theorizing. I've heard that the Sprite Darter set was supposed to be the intended BlizzCon virtual goodie thing. That since BlizzCon didn't
I can
happen, that
see
they
that. Yeah.
they kind of pushed it out. It's what people are speculating. I don't know. Typically, they go with something that they could slap the BlizzCon logo on, and I don't
Yeah,
really see that
this
with
isn't
the
it.
Sprite Darter wings. So, but I have a 6-month reoccurring sub, so unfortunately, I'm going to be getting this item.
Unfortunately, you sound so broken up about it. You sound so broken up about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I guess I'll get the wings.
Yeah. I mean, you're giving me something for free. I mean, that's the entire reason I'm sub for 6 months anyway at a time, because of all the free mounts that we've been getting over the course of the expansion. I think I was at like a 3-month reoccurring before that, and I'm like, well, I think the first one was the pirate ship, the
Those
Dreadnought.
are so
He's
cool.
like, why
yeah.
not?
You know,
It's like, let me just get that credit card out.
So yeah, I'm willing to take those side gifts for like the subscriptions, but when it comes to investing money in WoW, I am definitely not as crazy as some people who like cheat the recruit a friend system by buying themselves their own secondary account for so
I've
long.
done
Yeah.
that in the past. I have not done it with the new one.
Oh,
no.
God,
That's how I got my
sister.
Zevra. Yep.
Shame for you.
hmm
No. Just,
I mean,
he's
the
like,
way it,
he's like,
the way
you know
it
what?
worked
This
though
is
is
so
like
much
if you
cheaper than just getting friends. This is
Well-
so much cheaper.
Well, what I did is I bought it when it was like on sale for $5 for like a Black Friday sale, and then or the New Year sales that they do. So it was only a $5 thing for the account, and then subbing it. If you subbed one time, you got a free month on your main account, so it washed out. So
You
I
can.
really
you
only
can-
spent an extra $5 to do
Sat
that.
there and did the math. Is this a wash for me? Or
Well,
do I
now
actually
for,
have to
like,
socialize? What
The
should
new
I do?
recruiter friend stuff. I had to subscribe for like multiple months if you want to get like the full transmog set and the cool mount with like the biplane. What's the mount? And there's like a camel or some shit. I don't know. Ooh, I said a swear. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay.
Put it in the swear jar.
I couldn't remember what swears I was allowed.
Don't
I know
you
there's a
fucking
limit.
swear on this show, Kat.
Oh, okay. Gonna earn that mature rating. Yeah, I don't know.
If I
But-
actually had like new friends that don't play the game to recruit, I would have done it. But like I don't. So
And there's no way you were making any. You're like, nah.
that was my only option, and I was
I'm
like, you know
done.
what? For $5, that's like buying a mount in the mount store. Why not?
I'm out. I'm out. Speaking of mounts, the Caravan Brontosaur mount starts at $5 million on the black market.
What
right
it was
now.
from the vendor. I mean,
5 million gold, but it's from
I will
the black
never have
market
that much
now.
money. Yeah.
Do you like this? Do you like that it was removed from vendor Zista?
I don't like that it was removed at all. Like period. I hate when things are removed from the game because I like feel that pressure and the need to get it. Because as a mount collector, it's like I tried to farm for it a little bit. I got up to like 2 million gold, and I'm like this was too much work to get here. Like I'm good. I just stopped, and I think it's a good solution for people that got it. I think all those people would be happy that it's at least going for what they spent on it, and it doesn't have the chance to go lower. But me as a mount collector that did not have a chance to get it, I have to hope to get it out of like the lost containers that go for like way under that to try to get out of there. But I'm not thrilled with it, but I understand it. So
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Not
I
a fan.
do like it as like a status symbol for the people who played through BFA and were crazy enough to get the 5 million gold. So on some level, I don't want to take that away from them. I mean, good for you. You poop socked harder than I ever have for this game. I I never play anything in the black market auction house. I look at it sometimes and I'm like, oh, there's a pet I don't have. There's a mount I don't have. But then it's like,
then you're like, nope,
I don't really want to try to gamble or spend this much money on it. So
I'm out.
yeah.
On the same topic of mounts, we did see in season 4 BFA Mythic give mounts as rewards for level 15 keys completed. Shadowlands looks to continue that with season 1. Zista, do you like this? I mean, you are a Mythic guy and somebody that loves mounts, but to me, I'm like, well, that's a mount I'll probably never have. Like, as soon as I see it, I'm like, probably, maybe if I'm cruising with Zista and crew, maybe. But if I'm just playing around, oh, well, there's a mount I'm not going to get. It doesn't really motivate me to like, oh, I got to push to get the higher keys.
I absolutely feel the need they have to get done now because there's a mount attached to it. And I don't like that because me at a core,
But
I
it turns
hate
it into a chore then.
It
You
does,
don't like
but I
any of
hate
that
Mythic
pressure,
Pluses
huh?
to begin with. Like I don't actually like them. Yes, I run them, but I really do not like the whole system. I liked them when they were called challenge modes, when they were in Mist of Pandaria, and they were completely optional content for cosmetic rewards.
You
I
and
enjoyed
Mop,
that
man.
system, but like this whole, and it's not Blizzard's fault because it's kind of the player base that created the whole Raider IO score system, and I absolutely hate that with a passion because it makes it so hard. Like if you tried to get in on this, like I did not do any keystones for season 4, and then I was like, well, this mount's going away. I need to get it. It was really hard to get into keystones. I had to like work my way up to like grind out all the lower keystones just to be able to get people to take me on 10 plus keystones. And through the whole course of it, I didn't get any gear to like upgrade my character. So it was like I'm grinding an artificial score that means nothing other than like this knowledge of you've done this when I already knew I was more than capable of doing it to begin with. So it's really frustrating. I don't like the Mythic Plus systems. I wish they would abolish it, but I know it's never going away. So to now put this on every single season from this point out, because that's how it looks, it's really frustrating for me, but I'm going to end up doing it.
So I brought up the camera that had all 3 because you guys watching it on Twitch or watching the video after the fact on YouTube could not see that Kat was just smirking the entire time Zista was talking.
I have so much to say about this subject, and I don't want to like talk about it forever. But the Mythic Plus system, as it is as it is currently, it's a little bit broken, and here's why. For the general public, that IO score can be bought, and you'll see it now whenever you go to Group Finder. You look at the dungeon groups. There are advertisements after advertisements after advertisements of people selling keys and carrying people through. So there is a shift in the mentality away from IO scores being as important as they were in the past. So I mean that could be seen as a good thing.
I mean, I know
But
people making tons of money
Oh
on
yeah,
those runs. Yeah.
yeah. I don't have a problem with people making their in-game gold that way. It's whenever it starts blurring that line between like in-game currency and real life currency that
Yep.
it gets more questionable. Like the Gallywix community blowing up as a result of that issue. Shout outs to those guys. There's I love Mythic Plus dungeons. I did a lot of tanking through BFA for Mythic Plus keys. I had a lot of fun, made some very good friends. Just really loved the challenge of Mythic Plus and the various affixes. There was a time, especially in the later seasons 3 and 4, where IO scores simply did not reflect player skill. And I don't know if that was the result of
Corruption?
people buying their way into runs or otherwise getting carried through runs. But I think the mount incentivization is going to result in a lot more of that kind of consequence, or I think there's going to be a lot I think that there will be more shitters in the Keystones, and that
Yeah.
doesn't excite
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Like I said when I introduced myself, I did not play past like the 15 to 17 level keys in BFA. I wasn't really that interested in pushing myself that hard, but I have, like I said, very good friends who got me into the M plus system who love those big keys. Big keys are like their bread and butter aside from mythic rating because they're insane. I want those to stay fun. I want them to stay rewarding. I don't want to attract a huge population of unskilled players who like cheat their way through the system. So that's my fear with it. But I mean, I love mounts.
Well,
so
see, I'm not
whatever,
going
I'll
to
take
cheat
it.
my way through the system. I don't like I didn't do this in Final Fantasy 14, like when extremes became a thing and you could buy runs and stuff. So I'm not going to be doing any of that, but you better be prepared for my punk ass rando queuing into your group. It's going to happen at some point. It's just going to happen. Before we leave World of Warcraft and hit some other Blizzard news here and push through the agenda here, a final word.
Okay.
Are you, and we'll start with you, Kat, are you as excited for Shadowlands as you have been with some previous expansions?
No!
Or is it kind of waning for you? Like, where does your excitement level fall for Shadowlands?
I don't know how to quantify it. Like, I want to play the new content and I want to have more fun with my friends, but I don't know. I'm not that like pumped about it. Like
So
Wrath
it's
of the
kind of
Lich
just like
King
hey,
and-
I'm happy there's going to be new stuff for me to do. It's
Yeah,
not like
exactly.
I can't wait until that comes out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care. It'll come out when it comes out. I'm ready for it, but yeah.
Zista?
I'm actually pretty pumped for it. I like weird kind of like niches in stories. Like time travel is like my favorite plot device in anything. Like Back to the Future 2 is my favorite movie of all time. So Warlords of Draenor was
I'm
really
the
exciting
exact
for me.
opposite. Like time travel is so lazy to me.
Well, if it's done right, I think like not to get too off topic, but I think like if you've ever watched the TV show Lost, they have the best example of how time travel is like how they done it. Like no one did time travel better than Lost. But like I like those niches, like this alternate dimension that has like all the dead characters that we've known that we can like tie up some loose ends with lore, and story and stuff like that. I'm really, really excited for that, and I want to see where it goes because I feel like the last couple expansions, I knew exactly where the story was going every step of the way. Like it didn't even surprise me that like Warlords of Draenor to Legion was a thing because like I was because I was like Pandaria to Draenor rather was a thing because I didn't see the time travel part coming, but I was like Garrosh has been building up this whole thing. Me and little Missy, we're talking and we're like this whole thing of like where can Garrosh possibly go after he fails because he's not dying at the end. We knew that. And it's like the only place he can go is back home. So like I knew we were going to Outlands, but I didn't know it was time travel. So I was very happy with that. But like I love these weird niche storylines that they're able to do that's so different from just, hey, let's go to this other undiscovered place that we've forgotten about that's not on any maps anywhere. Like these kind of like from a story aspect get me really excited.
But there's still places that are like well established that I'm sure you really want to go to, that every time an expansion comes out and we're not going there, you're like, ugh, are we ever gonna
I've only
go
been
there?
wondering where Zandalar was since the original, World of Warcraft, because they had talked about, how all the trolls gathered to Zandalar Island every 4 years for this big summit. That was in the lore all the way back in vanilla. And I'm like, well, where is this place? So now in BFA to finally go there, that was exciting for me. Didn't quite play out how I had it in my head back then, but
I was not excited for BFA at all. I don't know why.
I was.
I just none of the feature set just looked, Emerald Dream, right? None of it just looked, blow the doors off the place. Not to say that I was like, I'm not gonna play. I bought it. I pre-ordered.
Okay,
but I just
Sylvanas screaming for the Horde was hype as fuck.
Okay, yeah. Well, I love Sylvanas. That's that's probably where a lot of my hype for Shadowlands is right now. Is in that character.
That moment of her just ripping the Lich King's helmet in half, I was just like,
pretty awesome.
Are you kidding me right now?
Pretty awesome.
Like, that was insane.
Not as hyped as I was for Wrath, but that also comes with, I'm pretty sure, the nostalgia, right? That would have been the first expansion that I played and had a max level character before it came out. So I can't wait for that. So it's kind of in the middle. I'm kind of with you, Kat. I want to try all the new stuff and mess around and watch the new story. But yeah, I'm not like, ugh.
I don't know. As you see, though, I'm more into the story aspect of it all. Like, that's why I enjoy Mists of Pandaria and stuff like that. Not really the gameplay setting, Like, I'm very much about the story. Very story driven.
All right, so let's depart Azeroth for a little while and come back to Earth and talk about Blizzard and some other properties. First off, real easy hit. If you don't know, Starcraft II is now ceasing development. The game, after 10 years, they're done. And to be fair, I mean, there wasn't really a lot going on recently anyway, besides new commanders for the co-op stuff and war chests, but even those are now going to go away. They're still going to do balance things and stuff like that. They're still going to support the esports scene, so you'll still have that. Executive producer and vice president Rob Breidenbecker said that the teams will now focus on what's next. Not just for StarCraft II, but for the StarCraft universe as a whole. So kind of a weird little reference there, like they were the whole IP. What do you think should happen next? Like, oh God. The number of times I saw comments, ghost. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But is there going to be a StarCraft 3, Zista? Is that where we logically go now? Or do they do something else with the IP? Or is this kind of the end for the StarCraft IP? We'll support the esports seasons through the contracts we have now. We'll maybe renegotiate those when those contracts are up. And that's it. Or are we potentially looking at a StarCraft 3 in the future, or a StarCraft spin-off maybe? What would you like to see?
I mean, inevitably, we're going to get StarCraft 3 at some point. That's going to happen.
I agree. I think it's inevitable.
Yeah. What do I want? I mean, besides the cliche response of ghosts, I don't even know if I really want that, but I would like to see something completely different for StarCraft 2. What that is, I don't quite know. Not a big RTS person. Like, I don't really play those kind of games at all. So I'd like to see something outside of that, because I feel like the StarCraft universe is something I would be able to enjoy from a story aspect, and I would like to enjoy, but it's not my type of game to be able to get into it. So anything that's not an RTS would be very welcome to me.
Q, if you could go ahead and time Zista out of chat briefly, since he gave me the answer ghost, and we'll move on to what Kat thinks.
I'm a huge StarCraft fan. I did play a fair amount of StarCraft II. I've played way more StarCraft and Brood War for whatever reason. I am not necessarily a huge fan of the real-time strategy genre, at least in its current incarnation. And I'm really interested to see what comes of RTSs in the future. But I'm with Zista. If we continue to explore StarCraft, and I think that they will continue to explore that IP in some form, I think it's time to get away from RTS and do something different.
Well, it's funny you say that. We're going to jump ahead a little bit on one of the stories.
Yay,
if you feel like RTS games just aren't quite what they used to be, maybe they should be something else. Zista, this is how you segue, son. Don't give me that sidelong glance I see you giving me. This is how you segue.
You came to me first. I can't give you something to alley-oop segue out of without talking to the other host.
Oh, so he's disappointed he didn't get the assist. That's what it was. Oh, okay. So a while ago, we saw Mike Morheim and his wife put some funding into some company, or a company, the game development company that some other Blizz heads were at. That's happened again now, as Tim Morton and Tim Campbell have raised almost $5 million to start Frost Giant Studios. And ironically, Kat, this is what they had to say. Real-time strategy players are an incredibly passionate community, and they deserve not just a great game, but one they can share broadly with friends, Morton said. Building a worthy successor will take time, but we're incredibly excited and grateful to carry real-time strategy forward at Frost Giant Studios. So you might have something there to look forward to. A couple years from now, but something there to look forward to.
Hey, cool.
Cool.
I mean, the next big RTS that I can think of that's coming out is what Age of Empires 4 was announced, yeah? And then I haven't seen anything about it, but I think it was announced. I didn't dream that, did I? But yeah, I'm interested to see what new gameplay they can come up with, what new mechanics they can introduce. Is it going to be fixated on that? Is APM going to be the big advantage still? Do I need to buy new wrists to play this game?
Want to buy wrists. In not so good news, though, Zista, Blizzard workers in France being called on by their union representatives to go on strike as the studio in Versailles is being scheduled for closure after what the union says was multiple times they were told it's not going to close, we're not planning that. And then all of a sudden, here you go. Cutting 285 jobs. Not a good look for Blizzard with record profits. And
I think a lot of this, though,
less than a year removed from a huge layoff after record profits. Not a good look, particularly, and as the union points out in its call for striking, in the current climate, right? The COVID-19 issues, the mental health of people. I mean, I'm on furlough from my day job, hence Ready Check Radio. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. I wanted to start it, so here we go. I had no reason not to now. But those are mentally and emotionally impactful. Then being laid off obviously has the financial aspect of it. Not a good look for Blizz.
I think a lot of it too is just the pandemic in general. Like, there's no good way to go about it. Like, from a company standpoint, and this is strictly from like, this is not necessarily my personal feelings, but from a company standpoint, it's like, how if you're going into like financial debt because of the crisis and stuff, how do you stay open? Like, how do you keep doing that? And I know Activision Blizzard as a whole has enough money to sustain it, but how long do you keep sustaining something that might not be profitable? It's an unfortunate timing in all that situation. Would this have closed if we weren't going through like the COVID and all that stuff? I don't know, but it's a really unfortunate set of circumstances.
Yeah, and okay, I've been in the business world for many, many, many years, more than I'd like to admit, at high levels and low levels. Of all leadership. I've been responsible for the decision to lay off. I've been the one laid off. It's happened both times, both ways in my life here. So far be it for me, Zista, to disrupt that line of thought, which is, hey, I'm running a business. I've got to be profitable. I think you lose that argument when your CEO makes as much as Blizzard's CEO does.
Yeah, that's my other.
I think you lose that argument with record profits. I think you lose that argument when you almost got your shareholders to vote down some of Bobby Kotick's salary benefits and perks, almost to the point that shareholders are now even questioning, look, why do you make so much money? And then on top of it, if what the union is alleging is true, that they've repeatedly denied we're going to close this to French administration and management, and then all of a sudden just say, hey, we're going to do it. Well, clearly that's something you plan out. That does not, you don't wake up Friday morning and go, well, shit, let's close it. That just doesn't happen. So that is a huge black eye kind of look for me when it comes to Blizzard, Cat. I don't know if you agree with me or not here.
I think it's just another in a series of events that puts Blizzard's integrity into serious scrutiny.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks.
And you got to wonder too, like there's some of these big name people stepping down from Blizzard because they probably don't agree with a lot of the practices either. But they're clearly not going into retirement if they're opening new companies.
Yeah.
So
And here's the thing that I wish would happen though, Zista, on that front. Say it publicly.
yeah,
Say
100%.
you've left. You're funneling money into other projects. You still want to do other things. And granted, I know Activision probably has a lot more to do with this than Blizz itself. If you look at the roster at Blizz and look at it 10 years ago, it's virtually unrecognizable from top leadership on down. So, is this the Blizz of old? No, it is clearly not the Blizz of old. Are they being managed differently because it is not the Blizz of old? It is now the Acta Blizz of now? Probably. I am not going to disagree with you on any of that front. But if that's the case, if those Blizz of old employees have left and moved on and went into other game studios or funding or projects, and that was a factor, say it publicly.
How many of these people who've left have been legally muffled, though?
It's
a lot of people
too, and their friends
who-
work there.
Yeah,
Right, but if your friends... Okay, let's assume that they aren't legally muffled, which would be incredibly shady as hell. But sometimes there are non-disclosure, non-compete, 6 months, you can't do this type deal. I understand that. Let's assume that is not the case, because if it is, I don't think any of us would not understand why they weren't being quiet about stuff. But just if you have friends that work there, if you think crunch and all the things bad in the video game industry right now,
I don't think that's a reason to
rectified.
keep quiet, but like at the same time, you have in the back of your mind, it's like, hey, I still have a bunch of friends that work there, and I don't
Wouldn't
want
you
to throw
wanna
them
s-
under the bus. So like,
Wouldn't you want it
it's kind of
better
like
for
that
them,
moral
though?
dilemma.
Wouldn't you want it to, if your voice could make it even a little bit better or push the conversation in a
It
direction that
could,
could
but it could also
potentially...
make it worse. And I'm not saying that that's a reason to withhold it, but I think like that's the internal moral dilemma that a lot of people suffer, because it seems like it's something that's common. Like, yes, I should absolutely do this and speak forward, but you hear a lot of people in various other topics that are really difficult to talk about, how long it actually takes them to come forward because of situations and stuff. I don't think it's quite as easy as everybody makes it out to
there's also a
come out
fear
and
that
speak against something that is very frightening, like a major corporation.
there's also a fear that it could cause backlash for them professionally and
Mhm.
personally. You could go scorched earth on your previous workplace, but what's that going to do to your future? That's why
Yeah, but I think maybe I'm leaning more towards the Mike Morheims of the world that don't have that fear of scorched earth. I certainly agree with you on somebody of a lesser stature. I mean, Mike's going out there and putting money into places. He's the scorcher of the earth if he wanted to scorch some earth. I don't think he necessarily has to worry about being blackballed from the industry in any way, shape, or form for saying, hey, yeah, I left because things kind of got shitty. But non-compete makes total sense in these situations. So
you
I don't know.
look at the situation at Riot Games, though, and how long was that a toxic workplace with lots and lots of issues before people finally came forward? And I mean, Riot is its own gaming industry beast.
Yeah.
But it takes time for stuff like that to reach the public eye.
Well, we'll see. I don't think they should close the studio. Like, I understand wanting to streamline or make things more profitable, but I just think it's a terrible look. Like, does it really cost you all that much to say, you know what? We got to figure out what we're going to do with that studio. It's not giving us what we want
Especially
or
in
how
a
much.
Pandemic.
Could we just let's
putting these
revisit
people
this
into
in
a situation.
February, right? Let's take a look at where things are in February, March. Let's get through the holidays, and then we'll take a look at the Versailles situation.
Yeah, but it's especially like during this pandemic where a lot of employment is unknown and how difficult it is to get new jobs and stuff like that. Like it's not the time for that.
In the ideal world, that studio would not have been closed for the reasons that it was closed.
Yep.
Right.
Unfortunately, we don't live in that ideal world, so sometimes this stuff just doesn't make any sense.
So
And it's cruel.
here's another little I guess, fun Blizzard, what are you doing look, but you guys ever heard of the private forums, right? Like, that's been like a whole thing for years and years and years, that there were private forums for Blizz and particularly World of Warcraft and for feedback and working with the devs and stuff like that. It kind of got chirped up over the last few days on Twitter by a few users in particular that were kind of like, hey, these private forums, they've existed for a while. They still exist now. And by the way, the devs really don't seem to care. And in fact, they belittle us and stuff like that. And I don't want to hash through this whole thing because I think a lot of it can be, somebody heavily emotionally invested and maybe not feeling like their feedback is being heard. I can see some examples of Blizz replies coming in and saying, all right, I could see how if you were feeling like I've said this a million times and you're not listening, you're just casting me aside, I could feel like why they're reading condescension into those things. So, and I'm not part of these forums or anything like that, so I can't speak to that. But I did want to ask you two, being World of Warcraft players for a long time, do you think like a private forum is actually a benefit to a game like this? Obviously, you have your games forums. You can get your feedback there. You can do your closed betas. You can do your alphas. You can do your private alphas, your private betas, your closed alphas, your pre-alphas, your early access, whatever you want to do. Do you think like a theory crafter specific private forum where it's like heavy content creators only type deal, do you think there's actually a benefit to be doing that? Because I'm kind of a mixed mind on it. Why don't we start with you, Zista?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very mixed mind as well. I feel like on one hand they're really good if done correctly. Like, if you're not belittling your community, which,
And that is some of the accusations being made, is that there's
exactly.
condescension and belittlement from the Blizz employees. Specifically the community team in relation to these forums.
Yeah, and it really depends on who's in charge of it, how it's being run, because obviously in the timeline that they were talking about when these forums were started, they didn't mention by name, but we could assume based on the timeline that it was Ghostcrawler, and we know how well that Ghostcrawler was like in tune with the players and feedback, and he was not somebody who was very condescending or anything like that. So in the hands of someone like him, I think it is a really good tool to be able to use and get feedback and stuff like that. I have no idea who would even remotely be in charge of doing something like that now.
Isn't it a bit of a double-edged sword,
you almost need a dedicated person.
Isn't it a bit of a double-edged sword, though? Like, if your primary community cat finds out that, hey, we leave our feedback on the forums, but you're listening to a private group of, like, you have that look, which I don't think is good. Then these seemed to be from some of the tweets from a number of users that have much more access to the information than I. So, check out their like Magdalena on Twitter for kind of a snippet of the type of thing we're talking about here. But then you have the other like kind of bad look on this, which, well, hey, you invited a bunch of theory crafters. Why are you surprised, Kat, that their feedback was trying to find the min-max for the entire situation and that's it? Why are you then getting condescending? I just think it's a double-edged sword in this type of situation, whether you're taking the feedback or not. And honestly, I also feel like a lot of the things that group might want to change are things Blizz wasn't going to change to begin with. Those were already set in stone. They were looking for a different type of feedback, and it's not going to come from that group, Kat.
Well, I feel like if you have a smaller group of players giving you feedback, that it's easier to funnel it and get the proper feedback, and that's where I feel like
that's
it can
probably
be very
the thought.
useful.
But don't you piss off the masses when they find out that, hey, they've created this small group, Kat, because they're not reading our feedback anymore.
I think that listening to the people or receiving feedback from the people who are most invested in the game for whatever reason can have its benefits. However, creating that kind of privileged space for those people to share their ideas and feedback and input in a more direct line to the developers, I think sets I think it's kind of unfair because, then why are you putting people through the beta? Why are you
Yeah.
inviting people into the alpha? There's a wide breadth of players in this game. There
And we-
are everything from like IO obsessed and mechanics obsessed, like theory crafters and min maxers and stuff, to people like you who are super casual and just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And whenever
I'm gonna get a shirt. Proud member. You don't pay my sub.
I
Put
guess
it right here.
I think this kind of forum is okay as long as you don't set the expectation that these people who are communicating directly to the developers are going to have a concrete impact on the game. If the developers want to open that channel of communication to that subset of the player base, they have obviously the privilege and the ability to do so. That's them inviting that conversation. The thing about that Twitter thread that gets me is there seems to be, and I don't know if this was fostered early in the days of that private forum or not, but there seems to be from that thread a certain sense of entitlement and a lot of outrage that this special space for super WoW nerds was no longer being taken as a special space for people who are actively forming the foundations of the next expansion.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I said, look, I'm not involved with these forums in any way, shape, or form, so I don't know how much of this is, to your point, Kat, somebody super invested emotionally, and I want this to be the best that it can, and I think that our feedback is... And so when these replies come back and they're like, okay, they're taking it ultra personally. Or if Blizz is being shitty because it's different people than it was 10 years ago, same thing we just talked about, and maybe they are being shitty and because they don't really care about this type of forum anymore. So I'm really not on a side with these guys. I thought the whole idea of private servers was so double-edged swords that it's like one of those things, like in theory, this would be really, really good. But if you don't take a second to think about that, the double edge probably sucks a lot.
Well, it depends on who you're giving it to, because like with somebody with a larger community and base, they hear all the problems that people have, and it's just easier to funnel and channel that information down so it's not repeated in 300 different threads on the forums for Blizzard employees to sort through, just getting it in one concise, if they're presenting it properly. But when you have a fan base that is basically flaunting, I have connections with Blizzard, that's when it leads to the toxicity and the elitism and all that stuff, and that's never good. So if it's handled properly,
and if Blizz was intentionally being shitty in those forums, that's not a good look either.
No, absolutely
not. You invited these people for a specific reason, and
we haven't heard enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't personally. The examples I've seen posted are very well.
They seem pretty neutral to me.
I could see somebody maybe feeling that was condescending if there were 5 other things ahead of that also had the same tone, and it's just a belabored point over and over and over again. There was one that I thought was a bit condescending, and that was the whole, well, that's why there's different talents. Pick a different talent.
Right, but like I understand that, but like
you're the community team. That's
Blizzard,
not the way to say that.
Yeah, Blizzard has, well, first of all, developers are not community spokespeople. Like they should not be entrusted to do the kind of work that marketing does, that specifically hired community managers such as Ghostcrawler do. Oh, and speaking of Ghostcrawler, just to clarify a point, I did dig into this a whole lot more and looked into a whole lot about it. It was Celis Talon who was responsible for these forums, and I don't even remember Celis Talon, but Celis Talon was the one who got these up and running. Developers lack, or well, may, I shouldn't, I don't mean to make a blanket statement, but their job is not to communicate with the player base in what may be perceived as like a diplomatic or tactful manner, I guess.
I think it's funny that you were searching for a tactful way to say tactful.
I know, like I couldn't think of the word. There's a reason why large companies like Blizzard and Riot have dedicated community spokespeople. And whenever you put someone out there who maybe doesn't have those skills and they try to explain something, they may not intend to come across as rude or condescending or whatever, but it could be read that way because hell, it's text. And
Double
this is
prizes in chat agrees with you, Kat. True. I work in a healthcare system where we dread any time a doctor gets in front of an audience without a script.
I'm not saying that like all developers are socially stunted neckbeards, but there's definitely a different skill set required to interact with the kind of varied and often toxic and hypercritical community that Blizzard's fan base can be.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I just private forums. It felt kind of icky at first, and then I was like, I do software development as my day job. Well, when I'm working, so like I do a lot of user acceptance testing, and I work with small groups, for that type of stuff and closed betas and all that type of shit. So I do this for a living. So I'm kind of like,
well, I know
you know what? I get the appeal of a private forum, but I
know when Classic was coming back and they were doing all those interviews about like going back and originally making the game for the first time and all that, they were talking about how the developers couldn't even get through a dungeon for the first time. Like they grouped up and they all like they just wiped in a dungeon. So that goes to show you right there that the developers don't have any like real idea of how to play the game, at least back then.
Right.
That might be different now, but like at the core of it, the players are going to understand the game better than the developers on playing it, from that point of view anyway.
Sticks, I'm with you. I feel bad for community managers as a whole. They're front line and get the brunt of player rage. Yeah, they do.
And that's why QA is always a separate team, or should always be a separate team from your development, because you're going to get those different perspectives and experiences.
All right.
That's in theory why betas should be an awesome space for providing actual good solid feedback about an expansion and
I think that's the way you do it. Like you have a closed beta, like if you want to do this type of thing, don't let it be out there that there's some private forum that somebody just do a closed beta that is extremely closed. Have your private closed beta forums that then go dead after that beta is like, you can invite that group to just a beta. You know their email address. Sure you have
Twitter handles.
Anyway, we got to finish this up here. The big question on everybody's mind is for you, Kat. It's the only reason anybody's here watching this show. We've got Digital BlizzCon coming in February. We will, of course, be covering that on this show here. Mm-hmm. But the first ever pet cosplay contest, what will Norris be submitting? That's the only reason anybody is here.
I'm going to dress Norris up as Old Blanchy. And I'm going to be like, remember Westfall? And then I'm going to drop kick him through a window.
Oh. It's a sugar-coated glass, right?
I just hated Old Blanchy. That quest is the worst.
Do it. Set him up as Mr. Bigglesworth. It's Kel'Thuzad's cat.
Yeah, or Jennifer. He would be a good Jennifer.
You got to put tentacles and all that, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Norris, everybody take to Twitter, for when this happens here, because we've got a hashtag Norris to victory in the first ever pet cosplay contest.
I'll think about what he should actually be cosplaying as. I won't actually drop kick my baby.
I think most people knew you were joking. I think most
Hey, I'm new here. I gotta clarify these things.
Hearthstone did a little fall reveal. That's the big one coming up Thursday to give us everything. But Zista, we got a little video kind of teasing the Dark Fair motif going on. We've also got some info on a slide that is being displayed on YouTube right now, that it's the expansion, the system revamp, has new game mode on it. Any of this make you happy in any way, shape, or form about Hearthstone?
I actually still play a lot of Hearthstone. Up until the Battleground system came out, I played Constructed a lot. Now that the Battlegrounds, aka if you have not played it before, it is auto chess. That's my favorite mode, and I play countless hours of Battlegrounds. Just between, it's like, oh, it's lunchtime. Well, I can't play a game. I want to play some. I could play Battlegrounds. There's not a lot. You just pick cards and throw them on the board. I could eat during that. It's very easy. So it's a nice little getaway. It's very different, but if you understand how Hearthstone works, the battlegrounds, all the mechanics are still function the same way. So like I get really excited anytime a new expansion is coming to see how it's going to incorporate into the battlegrounds and change that whole thing, because we just got elementals with the last one with the school the mage updates and stuff like that. So we got elementals and they've completely changed the battlegrounds, and it was just so much fun. It's still fun to have that, and it's getting to that point now where we're at toward the end of that, and it's like, well, what else are we gonna get? Darkmoon Faire seems really, really interesting for some potential. So I'm excited on just the battlegrounds front.
I haven't played Hearthstone in forever. Kat, are you a player?
I like the trailers and the card art.
Their songs are always fantastic every single time.
I've not really played Hearthstone since it really launched. I'm not good with card games. I don't.
So you did enough wins to get your Hearthsteed, and that was it, right?
I don't think I even have my Hearthsteed. I don't think I've
Oh
done
wow,
that.
she pieced out. She was like,
Yeah.
nope.
I just don't have that kind of like. I can't play Gwent for a long time. I can't do Magic the Gathering. It's just you throw so many thousands of cards at me, and you're like, build a deck, and I'm like, I don't know.
See,
what
that's
to
the
do
beauty
with all
though
this.
of the new Battlegrounds mode is you don't need to buy any card
At
packs
all.
to play it at all. Like you just jump in there and
I
it's
have to build a deck?
the thing opens up and you build it as you play. And then the next
Okay.
game, it's a whole fresh deck you're building from scratch again.
Yep.
So you don't have to, there's no advantages to buying any packs or real money things. I mean, there's a real money battle pass that lets you play as, you get a choice of 4 characters to pick from at the start as opposed to 2. But
Okay.
I honestly recommend it. Just go in there and try it. It's a whole different game. You might actually like it.
All right, if you could stop trying to sell Hearthstone, for God's sakes. Their reveal will be Thursday, 8 a.m., so 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. I'm sure we'll be hitting it next show, next Tuesday. Diablo 4, on that front, still has 2 classes to reveal as far as the launch classes, but Zista, one of the probably most wanted is being speculated as probably not going to be included.
Zista didn't play Diablo 2, so he's not going to care about this.
No, I played Diablo 2. I played Diablo 3. I enjoyed Diablo. Is my favorite Blizzard franchise of all time. I just didn't enjoy it.
Zista is a big fan of my Diablo 3 almost had it before release. Story from Walmart, and the little old lady that I was like, she has no idea that shouldn't be on the shelf. That shouldn't be on the shelf yet. She went to get the key, and it was some like 20-year-old guy that was like, oh, I got it. And I was like, shit, he definitely is going to know that should not be on the shelf yet. He came back, saw it, and was like, yeah, I can't sell that to you. Son of a bitch.
Oh.
So yeah, we've got 3 of the 5 classes already revealed. But Necromancer, Paladin, and Amazon seem to be the most favored, the most desired right now. And Paladin and Amazon kind of fit play styles that have not been revealed yet. So that's kind of leaving Necromancer possibly out in the cold for launch.
Necromancer was my Diablo 2 class. Like I really,
we're
really
back on the
enjoyed
same
that.
level.
So
you're friends again now, Kat?
Well,
yeah.
My whole thing is Diablo, the original Diablo, was such a dark game, like really dark. And then Diablo 2, it kind of lightened up a bit, and we went to like a desert, and it didn't feel right to me. Like I wanted the dark catacomb depths of hell setting, and I didn't quite get that until Act 4. So that was my problem with Diablo 2. But it looks like Diablo 4 is going back in that direction. So I'm actually really excited for Diablo 4.
Kat, I'm a huge Necromancer guy, but I kind of feel like since there are so many Necromancer fans that it's probably going to be lumped behind DLC again.
Probably.
That's what they did with D3. So
yeah, I just need my skeleton army back. I need my endless hordes of skeletons, my game crashing
the golems
size army of skeletons. Gosh, the launch panel for Diablo 4 was really funny to me because if you had taken a shot every time they said the word dark, you would have died.
Yeah,
like your liver would have dissolved.
Absolutely.
So it's great that they're getting back to that aesthetic. Like I remember being legitimately scared by certain parts of Diablo 1. Like that just oppressive ass atmosphere. We'll see what comes though with 4. I haven't seen a whole lot beyond. I really do like Lilith's design. I think she's very cool looking.
Yeah. Yep. But I think the more important question is, what about Diablo Immortal? You guys have phones, right? Am I the only one here with a phone? Like,
Q, if you'd go ahead and time out Zista again, please, from Twitch chat. That'd be great. Not a lot on the Overwatch front. Quiet right now. Free agency going on the competitive side of things. We did kind of see that there's some files in some areas that could be a hint at maybe an Overwatch 2 beta coming up. They could also just be providing access to people around the world so they could get ready to record, voiceover, stuff like that. So, I don't know. Maybe I don't think we see an Overwatch 2 beta anytime close. To me, that's probably like a Q2 2021. Am I way off base there? Like as the earliest we would see a beta.
Development.
I'm saying beta is going to be announced at BlizzCon.
So announced in
bet.
February, and then probably, if they stick to that, probably launched the beta in the subsequent 2 months.
I think like before
COVID,
I think they probably were looking at like a November launch window for like to coincide with the new generation console releases. But I think with that on their, with COVID and the work from home, all that on their plate, like that delayed some things. So I'm gonna say that they're probably close to polishing it up for February by now. So I think for BlizzCon, we will have the beta announcement.
All right,
it probably will be, if you get BlizzCon as well, you'll probably get the beta for that, if you buy the virtual ticket.
So let's slide over. We're going to start finishing off the show here. A little longer than the show will normally be. Had a whole bunch of intro to get used to new hosts. Thank you for joining us and watching here on Ready Check Radio. Check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio. Check out the website, ReadyCheckRadio.com, where you can watch it live right on the homepage, or right below that, see the most recent episodes, and there's a page for each of our shows. Make sure you're checking out all of our streamers who will be coming online 1 week from today. So we'll have streaming at virtually all kinds of different hours for all kinds of time zones, any games you want to see, whatever anybody feels like playing. And I want to thank everybody behind the scenes helping with Ready Check Radio. Everybody here is volunteer. We're all just having a fun with a little passion project. So we hope you'll spread the word, follow, come check out the website, do all the socials, sharing it, and all of that fun stuff. We would very much appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the show here. Plan on future shows probably being a little shorter, right around the 50-minute to 1 hour mark. But we're going to finish off with a segment that we're going to finish off with every show, and this one is called Lore or Lies. So we're going to play a little game here. The hosts will not be playing yet. They will participate here, but they will not play yet. The three of us don't know the answer to this, or at least we weren't given the answer to this. So we will have our guests, our guesses next week on the show. But if you're on the website, make sure you put in the comments, or if you're on YouTube, you can put it in the comments there, your answers. So here's what's going to happen, gang. I'll read a statement, Zista is going to read a statement, and Kat is going to read a statement. These statements were provided by our resident lore master, Lil Missy. You can see her Twitter right there. For those of you listening on Spotify, that's at Lil Missy 4205, LIL Missy 4205. Give that a follow. Our resident lore master provided us with these three statements. I'll read one. Zista, you'll take B. Kat, you'll take C. Now, two of these statements are 100% true. One of them has a lie in it. It could be small, like maybe you're talking about Thrall and you mentioned Thrall's mother and you've got the wrong name there. It could be a really big lie. Maybe we say, hi, my name is Thrall, and we give you the bio for Arthas. So could be anything in between. Your job's to tell us in the comments below which one is the lie and why. And if you have feedback or anything you want to share, we do take viewer comments, so put them in the comment sections as well. So here we go. Are you two ready? You two ready?
Yeah.
Vista,
Yeah,
Kat? All right.
I'm on the edge of my seat. I already know the answer.
Here we go.
I'm ready.
Here we go. 2 truths, 1's a lie. We'll review it next week. We're heading into Shadowlands, the afterlife wrapped up in mystery and unknown origins that predates Titan existence and spans across all worlds. That's mine. We're headed into Shadowlands, the afterlife wrapped up in mystery and unknown origins that predates Titan existence and spans across all worlds. Go ahead, sister.
The mortal souls are judged by the Artificer when they cross the veil of life and death and are sent to one of the infinite realms of the Shadowlands that suits them the most.
Ooh, that was very, dark.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kat.
I'm going to put on my role-playing voice here. While there are many realms governed by covenants that exist within the Shadowlands, there are 4 ruling realms: Bastion, Ardenweald, Revendreth, and Maldraxxus.
There you go, gang. You have
Okay.
3 statements. One from all 3 of us.
Slytherin.
2 of them, 100% true. One of them has a lie in it somewhere, big or small. You tell us where in the comments. We'll take our guesses next week. Missy will provide us with the answer in case any of the 3 of us need it. I have a guess on this one. I feel pretty strong. Do you guys feel strong? Do you have a? What do you got it? You think you got it, Zist? I see you nodding.
I got it.
Kat. Oh,
I'm
Kat is
confident.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Kat is like, oh, I got it. All right. We'll see if we could go 3 for 3. Let us know what you think in the comments below, whether it's on the site or on YouTube. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, with another episode of Snowbound. But until then, Kat, where can everybody follow you? Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm on Twitter as Cat Named Norris. I'm pretty much everywhere as Cat Named Norris. So
just if you Google that, it will most likely be you.
most likely, yeah, most likely.
What about you, Zista?
You can follow me on Twitter down below at I think it's over here. It's Zista.
Oh my God, that is incorrect.
Yeah, not Zista. You have the wrong thing on there. That's fine.
Yeah. I'll fix that after the show.
It's Zista. ITS. XIZTA.
Yeah.
And then on Twitch,
Stix is throwing them in chat. Thanks, Stix.
Yeah. And I stream on Twitch with just the username Zista XIZTA. But my streams have a little more possibly mature language than you guys are.
Hell yeah.
Used to. Especially when I have some other people that I will remain nameless that join me from chat.
I think
here.
They
that
one's
get
wrong.
very vocal.
I think that one's wrong, Stix. I think that's the wrong one. The wrong.
He's got mine.
Oh, that's your Twitch. That's your Twitch. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Got the right Twitch. Cool. Thanks, Stix. I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. But more importantly, make sure you follow at RC Raideo, RAIDEO. Come on back and enjoy all the great shows we've got planned for you. Hope to see you next time. Stay safe. We'll see you in the servers.